Have you ever wondered what your dog actually understands about you? Not whether they love you. You already know they do. But what they understand. Think about the way they go still the second you walk in the door. The soft thump of their tail before you've even said a word. The way they drift, every single time, to the same patch of floor right near your feet. You read all of it as devotion, and you're not wrong. But here's the part most owners never realize. Your dog isn't only attached to you. In their mind, you have become something far more specific. You are their anchor. The one fixed point they measure the entire world against. And the third thing on this list, the one researchers actually tested in a lab, is the clearest proof of all. So if your dog does these 5 things, you are not imagining the bond. You are their anchor person. Let's begin. The first one is something you've probably watched 1,000 times without ever naming it. Your dog greets everyone. The mail carrier, the neighbor, the friend who comes by once a month. They all get the wag, the spin, the full happy welcome. But your dog only truly exhales around one person, you. Watch them in a room full of people they adore. The sitter they lose their mind over. The guest who always brings treats. Your dog loves them. And then you sit down, and something quietly shifts. The body lowers, the breathing slows. They fold themselves onto the floor right against your leg and let go of a long, soft sigh, the kind they don't give to anyone else. Here's what's actually happening. That deep exhale is the quiet signature of a secure attachment. It's the calm a dog only releases around the one figure they trust most in the entire world. Excitement, they hand out freely. But that nervous system level release of being completely safe, that's a much shorter list. Often, it's a list of 1, and it shows up in the smallest ways. The way they can be dead asleep across the house and still lift their head when your footsteps cross the floor, but not when anyone else's do. The way a stranger's hand gets a polite sniff while your hand gets leaned into. You've spent years thinking you just have a friendly dog, a social dog. And you do. But underneath all that friendliness is a quieter truth. There is one person whose presence flips a switch inside them, from on guard to finally home. You are the off switch for a vigilance you may never have even known they were carrying. Think about that for a second. In a whole world of people who could have made them feel safe, their body chose you. Not the loudest person in their life. Not the one with the most treats. You. The one whose presence means the watching can finally stop. So the next time your dog throws a party for a visitor and then comes and melts down beside you instead, notice the difference. Everyone gets their tail. You get their nervous system. The second one, you might have quietly worried about because you've heard the warnings. A dog who follows you everywhere must be anxious, too attached, too dependent. Maybe you read it in an article. Maybe someone said it out loud, right there in your kitchen, and it lodged somewhere, and it stayed. You've watched them trail you from the kitchen to the bathroom door, heard the little click of their nails on the floor behind you, and felt a flicker of guilt, like maybe you've done something to make them this clingy. So let's put that down right now. Here's what most people don't realize. Seeking out the one they trust, staying close to them, wanting to be in the same room, that is not a malfunction. That is the mark of a secure bond doing exactly what it was built to do. Independence was never the goal for your dog. Connection was. A dog who feels safe doesn't sit alone in another room, proving how self-sufficient they are. A dog who feels safe orbits the person who makes the whole world feel okay. The way you might drift toward the warm window on a cold morning. There's no fear in it, just the quiet pull of where it feels best to be. You think the following means they can't handle being alone, but actually, it means they've decided where alone stops feeling lonely, and it's wherever you are. Picture it. You get up. The nails click behind you down the hall. They lie down just outside the bathroom door and let out a soft sigh, content to wait there for as long as it takes. That's not a dog that is broken. That's a dog who has quietly built their entire sense of safety around one single moving point. You. The shadow at your heels was never anxiety. It was an answer to a question they asked all day long. Where is my person? And the relief, every time, when the answer turns out to be, right here. You were never the thing they couldn't cope without. You were the thing that made coping unnecessary. That second one might have stung a little, so let's pause right there. Now, before we keep going, if you're learning something new about your dog, hit like and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more dog owners who want to love their dogs the right way. This is the one I told you about at the start, the third sign. And it's the one that scientists actually put to the test. Back in 2008, researchers borrowed an experiment originally designed for human infants, something called the strange situation. The idea is simple. You put someone in an unfamiliar room and you watch how they handle it. First with their attachment figure there beside them, then without. With human babies, the pattern is famous. When the parent is in the room, the child explores. They wander, they play, they reach for the new toy, they take little risks. When the parent quietly leaves, the child deflates. The play stops, the world shrinks. And when the parent comes back through the door, the child recovers almost instantly, like a held breath finally let go. So the researchers ran that same experiment with dogs and their owners. And here is what they found. With you in the room, your dog is braver. They sniff the corners. They investigate the strange object in the middle of the floor. They move through the space with an ease that looks almost like confidence. The moment you step out of sight, that confidence drains right out of them. They grow subdued, uncertain. They seem to get smaller somehow, lower to the ground, waiting. And the instant you walk back in, they come back to life, like someone reached over and turned the lights back on. That is what scientists call the secure base effect. And it is the literal, working definition of an anchor. Sit with what that word really means. An anchor doesn't hold a boat in place by force. It gives the boat a fixed point, so the boat can move, drift, swing with the tide, and still never be truly lost. That is you. You are not a leash. You are not a cage. You are the thing that makes the whole wide, unpredictable world explorable in the first place. Without the anchor, open water is just danger. With it, the same water becomes somewhere to go. Here is what that means. You are not simply a person your dog happens to like. You are the fixed point they measure the entire room against. You are the reason the unfamiliar park feels survivable. The reason the vet lobby is frightening but bearable. Think about the last time something startled them out in the world. A dropped pan, a stranger's shout, a sudden noise with no name. Where did they go? Not away from it, necessarily. Toward you. You are the direction safety lives in. Watch them closely the next time you bring them somewhere new. Before they decide whether the world is okay, they will check back with your face. One quick glance. Half a second. Just to confirm you are still there. And if you are, then the world is fine. Whatever happens next, it can be handled. Here's what that means for you tonight. When your dog looks back at you in a strange place, they are not asking you for permission. They are taking a reading. They are checking the one instrument in the entire world that tells them which way is safe. You think you are just their favorite, but actually, you are the coordinate they navigate from. Every other thing in their life takes its bearings from exactly where you happen to be standing. Number 4 is a little lighter, and honestly, a little funny. You think you are being sneaky. Your dog disagrees. Here is something most people don't realize about how your dog experiences you. Their sense of smell is so precise that, in one study, dogs could tell apart identical twins, genetically identical human beings, purely by scent. Let that sink in for a second. The thing that fools facial recognition software, the thing science itself struggles with, your dog does with their nose, half asleep, without even trying. Which means your personal scent signature, the specific, particular smell that is uniquely you, is something they can follow from room to room without ever opening their eyes. So you tiptoe to the kitchen at midnight, careful, quiet, a little proud of yourself. and you turn around to find two eyes already tracking you from the doorway. You didn't wake them with sound. You move through their map. Here is the truth of it. You never actually leave a room as far as your dog is concerned. You just stop being visible. To their nose, you leave a glowing thread behind you, one that leads from the chair you just left, straight to the floorboard you are standing on right now. The trail you leave hanging in the air behind you is as loud to them as a spotlight. So when they appear at your side, the very second you thought you'd slipped away unnoticed, they are not being needy. They simply always know exactly where their anchor is. You are never really gone. You are just temporarily out of sight. And the last one is the quietest of them all. It is also, by far, the biggest. Think about what actually happens when your dog presses their body into your leg. A hand coming to rest on their fur, their weight leaning into your side, slow and heavy and certain. It feels like simple affection, and it is so much more than that. When you and your dog touch like this, something measurable happens inside both of you at the very same moment. That gentle, settled kind of contact is linked to a rise in oxytocin, the bonding chemical, and a drop in the body's stress signals, in your dog and in you. At the same time, through the same hand. You are not just comforting them. You are trading calm back and forth across the place where you touch. Their heart rate eases. So does yours. Two bodies quietly agreeing that right here, right now, nothing bad is going to happen. And there is something else happening, quieter still. Dogs are remarkably good at catching our emotional state. When you go still, they tend to go still. When your breathing slows, theirs begins to follow. It is a behavioral kind of emotional contagion. Your nervous system, without a single word, quietly setting the weather for theirs. Think about the way a small child steadies when a parent is simply near. Nothing has to be said. Nothing has to be done. The steady thing is just close enough to borrow from. That is what your dog is doing every single time they lean. They are borrowing your steadiness. And, in the same breath, handing some of it back. It moves in both directions, always. The comfort you give is the same comfort that finds its way back to you on the hard nights. And after all this time, they know your patterns by heart. They know which footsteps in the house are yours. They know which lap means the day is finally, truly over. They know which silence in the house is the safe one, and which is the kind worth lifting their head for. None of that was taught. No one trained it into them. They learned you, the whole shape of you, the same slow way you learned them. So when your dog leans their full weight into you and lets out that long, low sigh, that is not just affection. That is an entire nervous system choosing yours to settle against. Choosing you, out of everyone, as the one place where a long day is finally allowed to end. And that is not a small thing. To be a safe harbor for another living creature is one of the quietest, largest things you will ever be. And you became it just by showing up. Again and again. Day after ordinary day. You didn't have to be perfect to become that. You just had to keep coming home. So, what does your dog actually understand about you? Every quiet thing you were sure no one ever noticed. The settling, the following, the checking back, the leaning. They noticed all of it from the inside. Every time you thought you were just passing through a room, you were the most important thing in it. All those ordinary evenings you spent just there. Not doing anything special. Not trying to be anything at all. Just present in the same room while the lights went down. You probably don't even remember most of them. Your dog remembers all of them. To your dog, that presence was never ordinary. It was the entire architecture of the safe. It was the thing they quietly built their whole world on top of, without you ever knowing you were holding it up. So tonight, when they cross the room and lie down at your feet for no reason you can name, you will know there was a reason. There always was. You are the fixed point. You are the safe place. You are the one they measure the whole world against. You are their anchor person. And the truth is, you always were.